Welcome to News Laundry Chhota Hafta. For the full episode, subscribe because it is behind the paywall and only subscribers get access to uncut, complete content. News Laundry Hafta is our weekly wrap of all that made the news, all that didn't, and all that should have and all that shouldn't have. We agree, we disagree, we critique, and occasionally we beat each other up. But it's all good fun. Subscribe.
This is a News Laundry podcast and you're listening to NL Hafta.
A very good morning, evening, afternoon, whatever time you're listening to this from whatever part of the world, from this very fresh new day in Delhi where our air quality is down to just unsafe from alarming or whatever the fuck it was earlier.
Bhai, please stick to 140 characters.
It was 400 and something today, down from 1,000. So we are feeling very healthy, which in most other places in the world you'd be dying. But we have mutated as Delhiites, and we can even breathe inside limestone bhattis these days. So anyway, on that happy note, Angrez apna lagan or News Laundry apna hafta kabhi nahi chhodte. When the public pays, the public is served. And when advertisers pay, advertisers are served. Thank you for subscribing to News Laundry and helping keep news free. Last week I had asked when we signed off that those of you who do subscribe, tell us why you subscribe. Is it because there's a paywall or you would subscribe anyway? So we've got a lot of answers. And thank you for writing and telling us why you subscribed and what is it that you believe. Although the letters that I've got, Anand will be thrilled to learn, the data doesn't match those views. But I'll come to that later. But before that, let me just go over the headlines. What made news this week? The Karni Sena, a little known body of loonies, loony Rajputs, at the risk of getting trolled, that may be tautological. इनके ऊपर से निकल गया राजपूतों के tautological क्या होता है but
ये तो गया
मैं तो गया ना a bunch of loony Rajputs and even
they want to chop off Deepika Padukone's nose
and even public school educated Diya Kumaris who have those of you who accuse the Dehradun schools of
Rani Diya Kumari
who are being referred to as Ranis.
Sohail said called her Rani Diya Kumari.
Sohail said जैसे गधे मतलब सब पेल रहे हैं बहती गंगा. She says no, it's fine. The Padmavati, you cannot misrepresent my ancestors and whatever. Meanwhile, there are some other journalists also who are telling us what a rich tradition of beauty they have. But anyway, so Karni Sena made headlines. We will discuss them. Last week, immediately after we recorded the Hafta or the day after that, the Supreme Court had a huge controversy, and it is a complex one with many differing sides and pulls and pressures. We will discuss that in measured tones so that we do not get hauled up for contempt of court. Hopefully, everyone please note. Then in Manila, Modi calls for a joint effort with ASEAN to mitigate terror. A sex clip goes viral. Hardik Patel cries foul. But
sex clip with no sex.
Sex clip with no sex, but I guess for a certain mind space that's enough. कि बस bedroom में पहुंच गए औरत के बाद ये तो it's like hitting a home run. Then there was the sex CD with unidentified woman, and this was of course primetime news for the Arnabs of the world and Rahul Shiv Shankar. After IT searches on Sasi Kala kin premises, tax evasion of income tax of 1,430 crore found, and Sasi Kala's kin. I love this. Sasi Kala's kin. Who is it? Bhai bhabhi hai, bhatija hai, bhanja hai, beta hai, sala hai, kya hai? What is kin? Anyway, Sasi Kala's kin says IT reads don't seem to be politically motivated. No, not at all. This is all in the matter of. Then, of course, we'll discuss the Padmavati controversy. Deepika Padukone also came out and said a few things, and they are threatening to cut off her nose. The Chief Minister of Gujarat gave NDTV an interview. First of all, that is news itself.
Oh.
And in the interview, he said that, Mr. Rupani, that nationalism is the biggest factor of BJP in Gujarat polls. So, Vikas Shikas gaya til in nationalism, it always is. I will also...
Another person who gave an interview to NDTV, sorry, I'm laughing because I'm imagining I always imagine this is Dr. Harshvardhan. Bhole bhale is like that, Russian doll who's always like kind of
that seemed to be very said. This is not as bad as Union Kaba.
Yeah, and situation in Delhi. And that was picked up by I think AP and other foreign media, yeah. Guardian, and total mishmash of what he was. I mean, what he was trying to say was pretty structured and And वो नहीं भाई भोपाल disaster जैसी emergency नहीं है.
Please clarify what exactly he said. I also thought even Shri Ravi Shankar was kind of quoted out of context on his homosexuality thing. And that was unfair. Everybody ran with it. I have no sympathy for the man. I think he's completely off in the head. But I do think he was misquoted. We'll also sort that out. Meanwhile, I'll also have my rant about what Mr. Rupani said. Kind of anyone who thinks that the central agenda of the BJP will ever be anything other than Hindu nationalism, it's a wake-up call for. Then former Assam Congress minister's son arrested for cash for job scam. It doesn't make news, things like this these days, because it's so ordinary and expected. But it did happen, and this happened in Assam, but Assam doesn't make news anyway. And the odd-even scheme withdrawn. National Green Tribunal comes down heavily on the AAP government. The AAP government is accused of not spending the money on green cess that they take. We'll discuss the whole pollution thing. We discussed it in depth last week. And 2 arrested for killing the Muslim man in Alwar, mutilate the body to make it look like an accident. And now the police too says that it is a case of cow vigilantes. To be noted, it's not being called cow terrorist still. And
I think the police also said this. He was a proven cow smuggler.
So S. Durga nude out of the film fest. INB ministry overrules IFI jury's decision. So let's get on with the Hafta. Today on the panel, Anand Ranganathan. Hello. Ranganathan. Manisha Pandey.
Hi.
Anand Vardhan.
Hello.
And Madhu will be joining us shortly. She's stuck in the smog of Delhi somewhere. So can I just start, ladies and gentlemen, with an email?
Yeah.
So let me start with an email. This email is from Preet. Preet says, hi, about Abhinandan's request from subscribers to comment on what made us pay for subscriptions. I agree with his comment on people relating to the panel or people that are part of the panel as one of the top reasons to pay for access to the podcasts. Ye mufatkhors bhi sun le. Please put this out on the Chhota Hafta version out of the paywall. I also think the second most deciding factor is people's economic standard. I am 30-year-old and up until 5 years ago, I would never have paid for access to news as someone who is not part of the journalist or news or political industry. Today, the only reason I can spare money for education of this kind, I'm able to subscribe, but my decision is heavily determined by the fact that I can relate to Abhinandan's mindset. Thank you, you're off like me. Congratulations. And because of how Madhu's comments are never in sync with the right or left ideology. Yes, I agree, Madhu's very unpredictable. Oh, I also, let Madhu come. I also want to complain. We went to watch a film last week and she made me stand up.
What?
Yeah, I didn't stand up.
Nice.
And she started pulling me. And like, yeah, and then पीछे सब देख रहे थे कि क्या ये कुश्ती की चल रही है तो मैं शर्म से I got up, yeah. What do you do?
Shame on you.
What the hell?
Shame on you.
Really?
Because I thought she'd start saying, चलो पीटो ऐसे कुत्ते को. मधु को आने दो, मैं सबको बताऊंगा इनकी. Her rowdiness. So I finally stood up reluctantly. I generally agree with leftist comments, but her reasons for supporting the national anthem from a perspective of realizing we were once denied the right to sing it struck a chord with me and made me realize I can't simply dismiss an ideology because it doesn't seem liberal enough for me. Regards, Preet. Preet, thank you for that mail. Thank you for subscribing. Although I will tell you, all the mails we've got have said that they would subscribe anyway, whether it was behind the paywall or not. But the numbers suggest that when we put the Hafta behind the paywall, our subscriptions went up quadrupled 4 times. So maybe you guys would pay for it one way or the other, but there are a lot of people who only paid when we put stuff behind the paywall. So maybe that's what you'll have to do going forward, but thank you. So what do you want to start with? Anand, Vardhan, why don't you start? Which issue should we take up? The Supreme Court, Rani Padmini, or do you want to take up pollution or anything else?
Okay, Rani Padmavati.
Padmavati. Sorry, did I say Padmini?
Yes.
Same.
Okay. Same. Acha, it's like
You are Abhinandan, you are Nico
Padmavati.
also. Same.
अच्छा हाँ तो बताइए आपके क्या विचार
No,
हैं
I
इस
have suggested the topic, but I will speak last.
Why?
Okay. So then the other Anand.
What do you want?
The other Anand. Now, what can I say? I mean, we are in a land of bans and everyone's banning everything that they don't like. And I don't know, it's just a sad situation. And today that, and not just today that Karni Sena guy has said he will be, even though as a Rajput, he is very, nice to women, but he will become Lakshman and he will cut off the nose of Deepika Padukone if this thing goes ahead. Shupnakha, he's giving that thing. But वो तो चलो करनी सेना का है, ठीक है, which is not a political, at least to my knowledge, it's not political. But a BJP MLA, I think a week ago, in Telangana. He said he actually openly called for burning the theatres that are showing, that will show this film. And he's not been arrested. It's a clear incitement and threat.
No, today, there's incitement and threat has been happened. 3 BJP MLAs from Rajasthan and UP have supported this. A BJP MP has said that this should be cast out. The UP Chief Minister has written to the INB Ministry to reconsider.
Congress wants it banned. Basically, everyone wants it banned. And I think it's just, yesterday I was thinking, I think Bansali should do one thing. He should not release it in India. He should release it abroad, uncut. And that is what people should do. That's the only solution. So, I mean, our country gets shamed, but so be it. I mean, what do we do? The laws are totally against the creative people. And, it's going to go on. And no one gets out of it, with the, whatever you may call it, intact pride or principles or anything like that.
No one comes out looking pretty. Other than Deepika, who always looks pretty.
No, other than Thackeray, MNS guy.
Oh, yeah. They are saying that we support Menaka. Yaar, tum.
No, he's like, it's not fair to protest before watching the film, okay? And then if there's something objectional, we'll talk to Sanjay Leela. So they have come in support.
तुमने तो पता नहीं कितने बॉम्बे में फोड़े हैं
These are the guys who actually dug up with shovels the pitch and poured oil on it and tar.
जब वो this one's film Fire, Earth, whatever.
Also when Karan Johar's because of Fawad Khan, they went after Karan Johar for having Fawad Khan in their movie.
Deepa Mehta, correct. Deepa Mehta's Fire, they broke cinemas. I still remember, I think I was in News Track back then. Anyways, so I find this very amusing.
Doesn't have much love for Rajputs, I guess.
Who doesn't have much love for Rajputs?
The Marathi Manus. The Marathi Manus. So from the trailer, the movie looks quite... I mean, I'm not a big fan of Sanjay Leela Bansali, and I don't think it's going to be a great, historically accurate...
His last film was Hum Dil De Chuke Sanam. That was his last good film. It was a decent film.
But then bad movies should be allowed to screen, I mean, of course, it's not... I don't even think Khilji is being portrayed in the... I mean, he looks like more like that Khal Drogo from Game of Thrones.
I don't know what Khilji actually looked like, but the point is that...
No, but his mannerisms and all, I doubt if he went around walking like that.
Irrespective, but it's all interpretation. But I'm shocked, but it didn't look like, what's his name?
Hrithik Roshan. He was really short actually and not really good looking.
Slightly overweight man. No, the point is, forget the aesthetics.
Exactly.
I'm just shocked at how even some journalists take it. I'll tell you the pity in our country is even journalists don't understand the concept of freedom of expression.
But are there any journalists supporting this?
Of course, the usual General Sawant is saying on Twitter, why is it that only sexy Durga and such characters are, because that's called sexy, why not? Of course, then one guy put a timeline that Mary... Rama mera meri hai, meri satak teri hai, which was Jesus' mother. But of course, someone said these are all the Muslim item numbers, the Christian item numbers. You must see, it's very... Sorry, Anand, go ahead. What is your view of this entire...
He who speaks last.
Yes, prejudging the case before seeing the movie is a non-starter anyway. So it's a no-brainer that you should first see the film. But from where the doubts spring? First, you see, Bollywood has not earned itself the respectability of being authentic to historical drama. So, say, Jodha Akbar or say, so the skepticism about dramatization of particular periods of history comes from there. It is not justified, but comes from there. Second, that the part of Alauddin Khilji being played by a leading actor and not a villain. So, and now he has an ego to be satisfied. His role would be glamorized, no doubt about that. If, say, leading villain of the times, who are they? All actors.
The problem is that but we don't have any.
Say Prakash Raj.
We don't really have leading villains now. So, that time is gone.
If he was playing, then people would have been more satisfied that he's a villain. But when we playing,
Anand, if you remember this TV serial called The Sword of Tipu Sultan, was played by Sanjay Khan. He was a hero. And Tipu, as we well know.
No, he was glorified in the serial.
But Tipu Sultan, that
Tipu
serial
Sultan,
showed him in good light.
Exactly. Yes, in 80s it came on Doordarshan, and it was he was glorified there. So that is one thing, that from these two things, the doubts before even seeing the film, and of course that Ghumar dance where
and that's really bizarre. I wonder if Rani is around.
When a queen is being shown like a nautch girl, so that is one thing. But the deeper thing is
Queens did not dance?
Ghumar वैसे is traditionally everyone did it, Maharanis also. But I don't know if they did it in the way like in front of men, like the Raja is watching and I don't know if
her husband was watching.
I don't know if that was allowed.
So now the multiple renditions of say folk history, which Padmavati is folk history, Dant Katha. जिसको बोलते हैं दंत कथा मीन्स oral traditions. So Muhammad Jaisi wrote it, and it is not historically verifiable. Even if it's verifiable, it can no one has done it.
Now, only one thing on that subject. I think one has to be cautious. Like Deepika Padukone's statement was criticized that as a nation we are becoming regressive. I think when one makes statements like that, but I'm all for, because I'm listening to it all the time from business people and whatever, ye country aisi hai, ye country waisi hai. My position, I think, in this is this, that run down a government, run down a politician, run down a group of people who you think are regressive, but to simply broad brush the whole nation as that, it's a mistake to brush everybody in the, because in this country you can criticize, we must criticize what we think is wrong, whether I agree with it or not, but I think we must be critical of whatever's happening in the country. If that's how you believe, that's fine, but to use the word India as a nation is this, I think, is a mistaken way of critiquing. It's not intellectual, it's not serious, it's just a knee-jerk response. So if you're going to be effective, I think you have to target the people or the group or a person as someone you disagree with and call them regressive, but just don't say we are all regressive.
Slight disagreement there, Madhu. I would actually side with Deepika. If, I think she is within her rights correctly to say that our government is regressive.
She didn't say our government.
No, I mean,
she
what
said
I meant
we as
was,
a nation.
Yeah,
are becoming regressive.
Yeah. So I see that as a communicating tool.
But what do you call a state? I mean, a nation that has laws that are regressive, that promote regressiveness, that promote intolerance, that promote these 100
so
things.
That's what I'm saying. Criticize those laws. Criticize the government. That's my point, that the way you critique is important. The tool you use and the language you use is important. So at the same time as we are regressing, there are also Muslim women who fought their way into masjids. They fought their way, of triple talaq being removed. So all these things are happening at the same time. So when we criticize, let's criticize to the point, not as a nation.
Why do I subscribe? It's simple. Work should be valued. So this is an email from Divya Swaminathan. So she's responding to my question, why do people subscribe? Work should be valued. If I want my work to be paid for and appreciated, it's logical that I pay for content I consume. After all, it's someone's hard work. But this is one side of the equation. The other side is about relatability. Within a week, it took me listening to a couple of haftas and I agreed to decide to be a subscriber. I related to the effort Anil is making. I get it and therefore will support it. I believe advertisement-free, transparent spaces need to be created, particularly in media, and I can surely get behind that cause. In fact, post getting a subscription on News Laundry, I got one from New York Times too and have never regretted any of those decisions. Arre wah, hame us league mein le gaye aap. We must do a story about how Saudis are anti-national.
Oh my God. It's a terrible piece.
New York Times, I'm not blaming them for something.
It's my recommendation, so please don't talk.
It's so bad that you must.
So no one can hijack his recommendation.
That's your recommendation?
I've also recommended for all the wrong. I've recommended
like
Tavleen
so
something.
bad that you have to read it.
So bad it's good.
Okay.
Like Gunda.
Yeah.
Another rationalization is value added to my daily existence. New York Times cost $8 a month or 2 cups of shitty Starbucks coffee. I paid $5,000 for News Laundry this year, and you saved me about 20 cups of shitty coffee or equivalent from the 4 mind-numbing movies at a theatre. So thank you. The urban animal is a consumer, therefore there is obviously no reason to not support an independent media portal of one's choice. I'm reminded of Abhinandan's chaddi rant. If you can afford underwear, you can afford Anil. I'll never live down that chaddi rant, I must say. I don't believe in paywalls, as I don't and can't subscribe to every good independent website out there. Therefore, if my subscription helps people access content on NL, someone else's subscriptions help me access content on, say, Mother Jones. Of course, this may clash with the business side of things. Wishing you all the best.
I have to come in and I have to really applaud Divya here. Because I love such people. When they are constantly comparing on the things they're spending money on. I do that all the time, right? Even when I end up spending a lot of money on good for nothing friends, I rationalize it कि यार अब ये नहीं खाता तो ये पैसे बच जाएंगे यहाँ पे ये हो जाएगा.
How does your wife feel about this? How does your wife feel about this habit of yours?
I shall ignore that question and move on. But
good one.
What I want to say is that the kind of things that you said, this is great. Yeah. If everyone did that, we wouldn't be making these stupid bloody 3,000 crore statues. We'll be using it on money which is and
what else you could do with
that? And that's great. So thank you.
Thanks, Divya. Another thing that I really liked is that how you believe that you are benefiting because someone else paid for Mother Jones or someone else, and others will benefit when you pay for News Laundry. Very noble thought. This part of the Hafta will be outside the paywall, so we can shame some people into coming inside when people like Divya are paying so you can get content for free. Sun liya Afrika, mufatkhors. Not to brag or anything, but News Laundry Hafta features in the top 50 in the world on SoundCloud in the news and politics category for podcasts. So do subscribe and see what you're missing, because when the public pays, the public is served. When advertisers pay, advertisers are served. Subscribe, help keep news independent and free. All News Laundry podcasts are available on iTunes and Stitcher and any other podcast platform.